Hello once again, and thank you for joining me on the Waters and Stanton video channel. My name is Peter Waters, and my call sign is Golf 3 Oscar Juliet Victor. And I thought I'd talk a little bit about S-meters and signal strength readings because one or two guys have contacted me over the year or so, either getting their ham radio license, just got their ham radio license, etc., etc. And they're not quite sure about S-meters and signal strength readings and what it all means. Well, let me give you my view on it. Basically, the RST, readability, signal strength and tone, came into being in the mid-1930s. It was an American ham radio operator, I can't remember his name now, but anyway, he came up with the idea of giving numbers to represent the readability of the signal. In other words, could you hear what I'm saying, or could you hear the signal fully without any problems, or could you just about detect the signal? And you weren't able to understand most of it, or was it halfway between? And then when it comes down to the strength, you're exceedingly strong, you're pretty strong, you're not too bad, or I can just about detect the signal. And likewise, T for tone, which relates to Morse code. Was the signal pure? Did it sound like a pure signal, or was it a bit raspy? Now, in those days, it was quite common to have a fairly raspy signal. It wasn't that easy to get a pure tone signal, so you might get a tone report of tone 8. So if you were sort of reasonable strength and you're fully readable but not fully quiet, and you might get readability 5, signal strength 7, tone 8, something like that. And these days, if you've got a tone 8, you'd be really worried, but in those days it was quite common. Here at Waters and Stanton, we've got a couple of really hot products. The first is the VK6 paddle key. You won't believe the price of this key. It's a superbly made paddle key, ideal for a beginner or anybody that wants a compact, reliable and low-cost paddle key. Secondly, we've now got the Alpha Delta Coax switches in stock. A wide range of Coax switches from 2-way right up to 4-way, and with earth facilities so that the unused inputs are earthed. Take a look. We'll put up on the screen here the definitions of readability, signal strength and tone. You might want to halt the video just to sort of read it, but anyway, to give you some idea. Now you have to bear in mind that in those days, in the 1930s, I don't think many receivers, if any, really had a signal strength meter. The signal strength meter came a bit later. Now readability is really down to you. You've got to decide how easy it is to read the signal. And if you're having a conversation with a guy and it's fully readable, you can be R5. If there's a bit of interference, you might say it's R4 and explain why it's R4, but that's fine. When it comes to signal strength, we do now have on the modern equipment a meter, an S-meter. And the idea is that the S-meter will indicate the strength of the signal. And it's related back to this RST system that was brought back in the 1930s. But it's all a bit arbitrary, really. The only thing that seems to have common ground is the fact that an S9 signal is generally regarded to be 50 microvolts at the antenna terminal. It's a fairly strongish signal. 50 microvolts. So I think most manufacturers, when they're calibrating their S-meters, they would say S9 is 50 microvolts, and that was established a long, long time ago. The bit that's not established really is what happens in between. If you're S9, what happens if you're S8? What's the difference in decibels? And that's where it all gets very confusing. Again, going back to the mid-1930s, when S-meters started to appear, and I'm not sure who came up with the idea, it may have been Collins, possibly it was Collins in the USA, I don't know. But generally it was accepted that 6 decibels was the difference between one S point and another S point. So in other words, if you were S8 and you went up to S9, it was generally regarded that the difference in signal would be 6 dB, 6 decibels. 6 decibels is certainly noticeable. I've always worked on the fact that 1 decibel is just the tiniest change in signal strength you can actually detect or hear. It's very, very small. So a decibel difference is small. 6 of them is quite big, and it just so happens that 6 decibels is the same as doubling your power and doubling your power. If you double your power, you have an increase of 3 dB. If you double the power again, it's 6 dB. So if you had a 100 watt transceiver and you bumped it up to 200 watts, that would give you a 3 dB power increase. And if you bumped it up to 400 watts, you get 6 dB. So 6 dB difference in power is like increasing your power from 100 to 400 watts. But there's no real sort of consensus on it, because Yaesu, the current day Yaesu transceivers tend to calibrate their transceivers in 3 dB differences. In other words, the difference between one S point and another S point is 3 dB, or in other words, it's rather like doubling your power. So if the station at the other end doubles his power, you should hear a 3 dB increase. So if we had a signal strength of S8 and the power was, he doubled his power, you'd expect the signal strength to be S9, i.e. a 3 dB increase. But then Eddystone came along back in the 50s and 60s, and they worked on some of their receivers with a 4 decibel increase. So really what it means to say is the only value that really has common ground seems to be S9. S9 is 50 microvolts. What S8 is and what S7 is really arbitrary. And although you may have an S meter on your transceiver, that doesn't equate to anything terribly meaningful, because it's not linear throughout the ham radio or even the commercial world. It's not linear. An S meter will give you an indication, and really all you can do with your S meter is say, okay, S9 is 50 microvolts, and then use it as an indication of whether the station is getting stronger or getting weaker. Now, just to make it a bit more complicated, most receivers and most transceivers have an attenuator that you can switch in. The idea of the attenuator is to reduce the signal strength of signals coming in if they're so strong that they start to overload the receiver, start to distort. So if you press the button or whatever it is, the way you select the attenuator, it's highly likely that will have an effect on the S meter, because what you've done is you've reduced the strength of the signal coming in. Some receivers or transceivers have 1 position, some have 2 or 3 positions. Also, transceivers these days have preamps on them, so you can switch in preamplification. In other words, you amplify the signal. In some cases, switching that amplifier in will actually move the S meter up, so the signal gets stronger. So it makes it even more complicated, because if you're getting somebody a signal strength report on a particular transceiver you're using, you need to qualify it with, have I got the attenuator in? Have I got the preamp in? So you see the problem. So the S meter really can be made to read all sorts of things. And likewise, some of the early receivers, if you turn the RF gain control down, in other words, reduce the RF gain, again, the S meter would go down. So again, the S meter is being affected. Now, the S meter is great for seeing differences in signal strength, but when it comes to reporting, it's all a bit arbitrary, really. I've heard stations give reports of S2, and I think, well, if they're giving a report of S2, they must have an exceedingly low noise level, because most of us got a signal strength, a meter reading without any signals because of the noise, S3, S4, S5, S6. So giving them a reading from the S meter may be meaningful to you, but it's not terribly meaningful to the guy at the other end. And I wonder really whether we've really gone full circle. We should go full circle. To be honest, I don't give readings, I don't give signal reports based on the meter reading. I ignore the meter reading. I give signal reports based on what I can hear. If I think the signal's really strong, I will say you're S9 or you might be S9 plus. If the signal is okay, I might give F7. So it's really a question of making a judgment and really giving the guy at the far end some idea of how his signal sounds to you. And I really have come to the conclusion, and I'm sure a lot of, particularly the older hams, you don't need to look at the S meter to give a meaningful report. You give a report based on your experience. Now, if you've got a lot of noise, you could say, okay, well, I've got quite a lot of noise, but I can hear you okay, so you're about S7, S8. That's fine. But if you give readings from the meter, I'm not sure that it becomes that meaningful. So the point is that if you've got an S meter, then it's a great indicator of differences in signal strength, but it is really not a universal value that carries any meaning. So I hope that clarifies it. And when we come to contests, of course, it is completely meaningless. If you hear a CW contest, all the reports will be 599, or if it's a phone contest, it'll be 59, they're all 59 because they can pre-program it into the computer software to give that report automatically. And it begs the question, is there any point in giving a signal report in a contest because it's always 59 or 599? There we are. That's my take on the S meter and the signal strength reading as we see it today on our transceivers and as we use it. I use it one way, you may use it a different way, but I hope that gives you some feeling as to why there's confusion and you make the choice how you give the signal report.